WWE produced a 24 special on R-Truth. It aired about a week ago, right after Super Showdown went off the air on the WWE network. And I thought this was very good. I thought this was another very good 24 special. They've had plenty of them, and they always are always good. But this one I enjoyed a lot because it had different tones to it. It started off really serious. We hear about R-Truth, his time he spent in prison, then of course his rise to wrestling, and then of course it took more of a comedic tone as we get more with the R-Truth character, and it gets entertaining. But I thought it was very well done. So we start off him as a football player in high school. He was very good. He was very talented. He had, I believe he was a running back, he said. And once as a football player, he gets an injury, and that messes him up for a while. And later he would resort to more of a life in which he would commit crimes. He would have situations where he would even tell the story. I don't know if I got this exactly right, but I think he was telling his mother or something, who's in this documentary, by the way. I think he's telling her stories of how he would tell her, I found this new car, but he really stole it. I don't know if I got that exactly right, but that's how it was. He would continue to make mistakes. He would have stints behind bars. And one time in prison is where his life really changed for the better, even though he was in jail, is where he meets Jack Crockett. And Jack Crockett is the son of the late Jim Crockett, who was a promoter in the NWA. And there they met, and I think Crockett was there for something non-serious. I think we forgot something like he forgot to pay his taxes, something like that. Something not too serious, but no, it is not. It is serious actually when you think about it. But he was there, and they met, and that's how Truth got into wrestling. I've heard that story before. He eventually starts to get training, and he goes to the South, and he trains well, and he first really starts to get a job in the WWF, and that's where he's with Road Dogg. I remember him, Road Dogg and R.K. Quick or something. I forget his name. I remember them as a team. They were a rapper team. It was strange because I remember at that time Road Dogg was on drugs. So, and that was after New Age Outlaws had split up. Road Dogg would get released in 2001-ish. And Quick still has a job but he's never used. I remember after they released Road Dogg, Quick was still there, but he was a jobber and they would never use Quick. And it was a situation where you kind of knew they'd fire him. It was just when, and eventually they fire him a year later. Then he goes to NWA TNA, and I think that's where he was really pushed to his fullest potential as a top star. I thought he did great there. When he goes there in NWA, and he debuts. He has a great opening segment. He gets hired by Jeff Jarrett, his father, I believe, ran TNA. And there he feuds with Ken Shamrock, who is the champion. I remember watching the first TNA show. I can still remember. I remember the battle royal. I had no idea what it was. I was really young. It was that battle royal, and it was like whoever wins is the champion. And Ken Shamrock won. I was like, holy shit, Ken Shamrock, I know him. And then about a quick title run, about a month or two later, he faces Ron Killings, K Quick, and I had known, hey, that's K Quick. I saw him. So he's facing Ron. And they have a good match. Ron wins with the Diamond Cutter. That was his finisher. He wins the match, and he becomes champ. And that was really cool. Then he'd feud with Jeff Jarrett later. And I remember that's when, I think this is when TNA had those week-to-week pay-per-views, if I'm not mistaken. It was strange. I think Vince Russo hit him in the head with a guitar. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's how it ended. It was like a mystery guy had a motorcycle helmet, and he hits our Killings with a guitar, and Jarrett gets them. I think it was Russo. I might be mistaken. But he stays there in TNA. I remember there is when he made some really controversial comments about the WWE and John Cena. And I think in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, there was a story in which him and Cena had a confrontation in an airport. That was a pretty big story because he was going after Cena. People were thinking, wait, why is he attacked? Or, well, this is a big deal. And Cena was really hated on the internet at that time, so he got more popular. And then he makes a decision to leave, and he wants to go to WWE, back to WWE. And the big problem he was having is like, I said a lot of bad things about WWE. He did rap songs which he bashed him. He bashed Cena pretty bad. He thought, all right, they're not going to get me back. But they do. They bring back everyone. Even if you bash him publicly, they'll bring you back. And in 2008, he signs with them and they start airing the vignettes. I remember seeing the original R-Truth stuff on SmackDown, the vignettes. I thought they were really cool. It was basically him as growing up. He's showing where he grew up in the hood and the crime he went through. And I thought it was really well done. I thought they did well there, explaining the backstory of R-Truth. And they even had his name in graffiti R-Truth, and they did well. And eventually he debuts and he has the What's Up song, and he debuts to the crowd, and he was super over for about 3 weeks. This guy's awesome. He was unbelievably over. The fans kept chanting, or the fans would always sing What's Up in the song with him. Like, he'd come out through the crowd and he'd put the microphone and they'd say, "What's up? What's up?" I was like, someone's going to say he's being really terrible. That never happened. That was always really cool when he would do that. Eventually it stopped and they had him come through the entranceway saying, "What's up?" And he'd just put the crowd up and they'd say, "What's up?" With the microphone. But it was cool once they had him come through the crowd. They gave him a big push, like, they're going to give this guy a big push. Never really materialized. He got pushed down the card later. He had a feud with Drew McIntyre, if I remember, next year. He was just never a guy. And he formed a tag team with John Morrison. They were okay for a while. They teamed up, and then they lost at WrestleMania 26 to Miz and Big Show. He had another team with the Miz later, but he's with Morrison. They split up. And he gets a big push. That's when he wins a gauntlet match. He challenges John Cena. He keeps calling John Cena Little Jimmy. And that whole promo was supposed to be called Cena Jimmy, but he starts calling the fans Jimmys. And the whole Little Jimmy thing was hilarious. I remember just laughing my ass off when he did it. I thought it was really funny in which he did it, the Little Jimmy, when he would keep calling the fans Little Jimmy, and he would... I don't know. There was something about it I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I remember really laughing. I thought he was really entertaining. And the thing with Cena, he gets the push and he gets the main event Capital Punishment that year. It was a piece of shit show. I remember that's one of the worst shows they did. And then that's when Cena later would feud with Punk a month later. But Truth was a horrible feud. Or sorry, it was a horrible match. It was a horrible show. But still, I thought he was really entertaining in that storyline. Then people don't know. Remember that CM Punk caught the classic pipe bomb? John Cena was having a tables match with R-Truth, and he loses because Punk distracts him. Truth puts Cena through the table. Truth wins, and then Punk cuts the classic pipe bomb. So there's another thing about him. Later that year, he forms a tag team with The Miz. They were okay, and their whole thing was basically just to set up the match with John Cena and The Rock at Survivor Series, and they gave him a big push for but they were just there to lose to Rock and Cena. They have a tag match, they lose. And the thing with that was the Survivor Series that year did a horrible buy rate, and I remember just being annoyed because there'd be segments when Rock and John Cena would be in the ring with Truth and Miz, and they were talking about Twitter. The Rock talked about Twitter the entire time on that show. I remember they were so obsessed with Twitter being trending. Oh, that was so bad. 2011, 2012 stuff. But The Rock kept talking over and over about Twitter, and Cena would make jokes about Twitter, and the pay-per-view flopped, but they blame Miz and Truth. Truth fails a drug test, and Miz turns on him, and that's the end of their team. 2012, he comes back. He doesn't really do much that year, and then that's where he just becomes a comedy character for the rest of his career. He would, I guess, I don't know what he'd really do at that point. It's really forgettable. Appear in Battle Royals. They brought up in 2016. He did the whole ladder and the Royal Rumble. That was actually pretty entertaining. Then later he would do the cruiser. He'd win the 24/7 title, and he was perfect for it. Really was. It was supposed to be more of Crash Holly. I think the 24/7 title just gets annoying. I hate this whole schoolboy role. I'd love to see more stuff with R-Truth, like the hardcore title used to be back in the day. I'd like to see him going to an amusement park or something like Crash Holly used to do, stuff like that. That's what I want to see with the 24/7 title. Just they don't have the budget for it. I think that they're just too lazy to want to shoot something like that. But I wish they do stuff. I hate the stupid roll-ups, but I think he's entertaining as a 24/7 champ. I don't like when the guys chase him in the crowd, but it is entertaining for what it is right now. And they're showing just highlights of him backstage. They show him interacting with his family at home. I thought was good. I'm sure he's a really nice guy. Everyone who says they meet him says he's really nice. But the one thing I heard about R-Truth, this is really bad. He is the worst smoker ever. He is a massive chain smoker, like really bad. Like he smokes so much cigarettes. He doesn't have lung cancer. I hate to say that about someone, but fuck, like I've heard how bad he is. I know people who've done it. Oh man, I wish he'd stop, but he's the worst smoker. I just have to point that out. I've heard so much stories about R-Truth as a smoker. It's bad. We see numerous interviews with wrestlers talking about how much they like him. I'm sure I've always heard from some people who've met him, people who I talk to who've wrestled. I know wrestlers, I know people who know people, stuff like that. Everyone says he's like the nicest guy. And all the wrestlers in WWE really like the guy. All of them putting him over. Kofi even said, I've never heard anyone who doesn't like R-Truth. And that's true. Like, you don't hear anyone really bashing the guy. Even people who don't know him, he's really entertaining. Everyone really likes him. We see cool clips of him. We see a clip of him dancing with Vince McMahon, which was pretty funny. We see a clip of him talking to The Rock from Survivor Series of 2011 after that match with him and Miz, and Rock thanks Truth and Miz. I thought that was pretty cool, too. Something needs to be said, too. AJ Styles points us out. He doesn't age. It's crazy. He looks as young as he did back in the NWA Wild Side when he first debuted. He looks the same. It's crazy. He just does not age. There's something about him. He has really great genetics. I have to say that. He just can't age. So, to end it, I thought it was a very good documentary. I enjoyed it. I thought it was another very entertaining 24, and Truth came off very likable. And it's definitely a 24 special I'd recommend people watch.